Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to do a comparison video. We're going to compare the San Martin SN0054-G against the ADDIESDIVE AD2035. And they are both homages to the Tudor Black Bay Pro. Let's start out with wrist check. I'm wearing my Seiko Safari. Haven't worn this one in a while. And Greg was wearing my Smil AD92. Grogu and I are still watching the Fallout series on Amazon, and I told him I can't believe that Cooper Howard would sell Lucy to the organ harvesters. Grogu says she wasn't the fortunate one because ghouls just want to have funds. Ghouls just want to have funds. All right, let's take a look at both of the watches. And the San Martin's here on the left, and the ADDIESDIVE's on the right. And they both look pretty similar. When I did the review of the San Martin, everybody, well, not everyone, but a lot of you asked me what's the difference between this and the ADDIESDIVE. So that's why I'm doing this comparison video. Let's start out with the price. This one cost me $135, and this one cost me $50. Then let's look at the packaging. They both come in the same packaging, both these hard plastic shells. For some reason, though, the San Martin, they left off the label there. I don't know why they did that. And when it comes to the innards, the ADDIESDIVE, you just get this little tool. And the San Martin, you get a much nicer set of tools. So I guess the San Martin wins in the tool department. Not that you need all these tools, because if you're like me, you got a ton of them. So let's just move these packages out of the way now. Then let's look at the sizes. Both sizes are just about identical. The San Martin is 40 millimeters at the bezel, and the ADDIESDIVE is 39.8. And both bezels just barely overhang the case. So that means the cases are about the same size too. They're both 48.4 millimeters lug to lug, and both have inverted end links. The San Martin is 13 millimeters thick if you count the domed sapphire crystal. And the ADDIESDIVE is 12.5 millimeters thick, including the domed glass crystal. So this is 0.5 millimeter thicker. They both have 20 millimeter lug width, and the San Martin weighs 139 grams with one link removed, and the ADDIESDIVE weighs 160 grams with two links removed. Now, I only removed one on this one just because it had pin and collar and was a pain to do, and I just moved it in the micro adjust. I could have done the same thing with this one, but since this one had push pins, it was easy enough to remove the two links. Now, when you look at the bezels, it's just about a tie. They have the same font, the same shape, the same size, the same brushing. I really can't tell a difference between the bezels. Then if you look at the dials, well, I always pick the wrong time of the day to do these reviews. Let me move the minute hands out of the way and we'll start again. All right, let's try this again. The dials, we have the San Martin logo up top on the San Martin. Then at ADDIESDIVE, we have the logo and the word ADDIESDIVE. And on the bottom, they both say GMT in the same color of orange. Now this one says automatic, and this one says Deep Sea Hunter. I don't know why ADDIESDIVE insists on putting Deep Sea Hunter on all their watches, but they do. Then this one says 100 meters water resistance, and this one says 200 meters. So you get twice the water resistance on the ADDIESDIVE. Claimed anyway. I don't have the equipment to test, so I'm just going to go ahead and take their word for it. Now when it comes to the dial, they're both about the same shade of black, and they both have about the same minute markers. Now if you look at the indices though, they look just a hair bigger on the San Martin, just a little bit bolder. Then if you look at the top triangle, it's not as bold, but it's longer than the ADDIESDIVE. And then when it comes to the hands, they're about the same size, but if you look though, the borders on the San Martin appear to be a hair bigger, so they make the hands on the ADDIESDIVE look a little bit bigger, but it's such a small difference, it's hardly noticeable. And then when you look at the GMT hand, they're about the same. Then when you look at the second hand, I would say that the lollipop on the ADDIESDIVE looks just a hair bigger. Not much though. It's so close. Now when it comes to the date windows, they're about the same. Then they both have signed screw down crowns, because this one you get 100 meters, this one you get 200. Now if you look at the crowns though, it looks like the San Martin is just a hair taller, which is good because that means it's going to be easier to use, because you'll use the crown a lot more on the San Martin because it's an automatic, so you'll be setting it quite a bit. The ADDIESDIVE is a quartz, so you're going to set it and forget it. It's going to become a grab and go watch, so you won't be using the crown a lot. They both have pretty good thread action. Once again, it's harder to grip the ADDIESDIVE crown, but when you go to thread it back in, it goes in right away. And the thread action on the San Martin is just as good. And no problem screwing it back down. You don't feel like you're going to strip either one of them. Then they both have dome crystals, but the San Martin sapphire and the ADDIESDIVE is glass. But look at this though. The San Martin doesn't reflect any more than the ADDIESDIVE. In fact, I think it reflects just a hair less. So they have some pretty good AR coating on this sapphire crystal. And then the cases, oh, they're so close. They're about the same size, about the same brushwork. They both have these polished chamfered edges. They're very similar. So now here comes the first really big difference, is the case backs. The San Martin, we have a coin edge with no writing on it at all. I mean, it's a screw down, but no writing. And the ADDIESDIVE, we have lots of writing, plus we have slots for a wrench. So this one, you're going to need a special tool to remove it. This one, you can remove it with any old case back removal wrench. Plus this has the ADDIESDIVE logo, and it says all stainless steel, deep sea hunter, and 200 meters of water resistance. Now one thing though this does, it says divers with an apostrophe S, and that's something they shouldn't do. That implies ISO 6425 certification, and it's not certified. The San Martin has the NH34 automatic movement. This has become the go-to movement for automatic GMT watches in this price range. It has really taken the AliExpress homage world by storm. Before this came out a couple years ago, the option was always a DG5833, which was not near as reliable as a Seiko movement. So this has been a godsend to the GMT watches, which has caused a real renaissance of the GMT homage watch. This one has the Ronda 515-24H. This is a quartz movement. Ronda is a Swiss company, but they do make movements in Thailand with Swiss parts. And this is a Swiss parts movement, not a Swiss movement. Keeps the price down. So you have to ask yourself, do people in Thailand put together movements any worse than people in Switzerland do? But it's a good movement. Now the biggest difference between the two, other than one it's automatic and one quartz, is how you set the GMT hand. The NH34, when you go to set the GMT hand, it jumps once an hour. So it's easy to set. You just set it to whichever hour you want. Presto, then you press it in and you're done. Easy peasy. A 515 is a smooth setting GMT hand. When you go to set it, it does it smoothly. It doesn't do it in hour jumps. So you have to find the exact right position for it. And if you go too far, you have to go all the way around again. So it's a little bit more difficult to set. Now, one nice thing about this, though, is you can do half-hour increments where the other one you cannot. That way, if you're in an area of the world that does half-hour daylight savings, this will work. But how often are you going to do that? They both have 3-link oyster-style bracelets with inverted end links. But this one has a pin and collar system for adjusting, and this one has push pins. I prefer push pins. They're so much easier. Pin and collars can be a real pain. Of course, a pin and collar is probably more reliable than push pins as far as not coming out, but I've never really had push pins come out on me, so I don't think that's a big deal. I'd rather have the ease and convenience of the push pins than the pin and collar. And once again, I removed 2 links from this one because it was easy to do. I only moved 1 link on this one because it was such a pain, and then I just moved it in the micro adjust. Then the clasps, as you can see, they're both signed, but the San Martin's a lot longer. But even though the San Martin is longer, the ADDIESDIVE has 1 more extra row of micro adjust. Although the San Martin does have 4, and 4 is plenty. So 5 is nice to have, but 4 is nothing to complain about. And they're both milled scissor clasps. And they both work just fine. Here's the San Martin on my 7.5-inch wrist. Looks and wears great. Really nice looking watch. Looks a lot like a Black Bay Pro. I really like it. And here's the ADDIESDIVE on my 7.5-inch wrist. It looks and wears nice. Looks a lot like a Black Bay Pro, and I really like it. They're very similar in wearability and looks. Here we are in the loom room. When it comes to looms, both San Martin and ADDIESDIVE are no slouches, but one was cost significantly more, but is extra cost enough to compete against ADDIESDIVE. As we split the time, we see the blue glow of BGW9, and both watches start out quite well. But as time goes by, we see that the ADDIESDIVE is fading faster than the San Martin, and the San Martin is the clear winner. But considering that the San Martin cost over twice as much, there was really nothing to complain about with the ADDIESDIVE. They both have excellent loom. What does the San Martin do better than the ADDIESDIVE? Has a sapphire crystal, better loom, bolder indices, and an easier to set GMT hand. What does the ADDIESDIVE do better than the San Martin? Has push pins rather than pin and collar. The case back has slots instead of a coin edge. Has twice the water resistance. 1 extra hole of micro adjust. Thinner and lighter, and grab and go convenience. Now, what's about a tie? They both have about the same looks and wearability. They both have about the same case, and they both have about the same bezel. Which one wins? They are so close, it all comes down to what do you prefer, automatic or quartz? Yes, the ADDIESDIVE is significantly cheaper, but if they put an NH34 in it, they would have charged at least $100 for it, possibly more. If you don't care about the movement and just want something that looks like a Black Bay Pro, then the ADDIESDIVE should do you just fine. So I might keep one of these. I'm not sure which one yet, though. It might just be the ADDIESDIVE just because I got so many automatics and it's just a pain to set them all. Well, thank you for watching my comparison video of the San Martin SN0054-G and the ADDIESDIVE AD2035, homages to the Tudor Black Bay Pro. And I will be back with an unboxing. I got another watch from AliExpress the other day. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel. And if you like either one of these watches, be sure to use my affiliate link and I will get a small commission. And be sure to check out my Members Choice program. The Members Choice watch is on the way. Bye.